Faith is the first step, even when you don't see the entire staircase. Martin Luther King, Jr. In the darkness of doubt, when the path ahead is still shrouded in mist, people often hesitate out of fear of the unknown. But faith does not require us to see the destination clearly. It only needs us to have the courage to place the first foot on the invisible step of hope. The image of the staircase hidden in the night evokes the journey of every dream. No one can see all the steps leading to the summit, but only by walking do each step gradually appear under the light of faith. Faith is like a small flame in the heart, fragile yet enough to illuminate a stretch of the path and warm a trembling will. It does not erase difficulties, but turns obstacles into worthwhile challenges. It does not shorten the road, but makes each step more steadfast. When we trust, we learn to accept the imperfection of the future and see it as an inevitable part of the journey of growth. And then, amid those seemingly reckless steps, we realize we have gone farther than we ever dared to think. Faith, therefore, is not just an abstract concept, but a silent strength that supports people in overcoming their own limits. It gives us the courage to begin, the patience to continue, and the deep joy of looking back at the path we have traveled. Through hard work, perseverance, and faith in God, you can turn your dreams into reality. Ben Carson. Dreams are fragile like morning mist. If not nurtured by action and belief, they will vanish before the harsh winds of life. Hard work is the diligent hands tending barren soil, the silent drops of sweat that fall without seeking praise. Perseverance is the strength that helps us stand firm in the storm when failure crashes like raging waves trying to drown our will. But above all, faith in God is like a lighthouse on a night sea, illuminating the way when the heart wavers. Believing is not to avoid challenges, but to understand that every hardship carries a profound meaning in the grand plan of the Almighty. When people combine their own efforts with sacred faith, they no longer fear the rugged roads ahead. They understand that each passing day is an opportunity to draw closer to the dream. Success may not come immediately. The journey may be full of scars and tears, but it is in that very process that the soul is forged, faith is strengthened, and character matures. The dream then becomes not only the destination, but proof of inner strength and grace from above. Walk with a steadfast heart, diligent hands, and a soul filled with faith. When you refuse to give up, when you keep praying and acting, things once distant will gradually draw near. And one day, when you look back, you will smile and realize the true miracle lies not only in the dream becoming reality, but in the strong person you have become along that journey. Faith is the strength that helps a broken world find the light. Helen Keller. When the world around us cracks from loss, war, separation, or personal stumbles, we easily feel as if we stand in a ruined city where every door is closed and the sky hangs cold and gray. But it is in that very moment that faith appears like a slender ray of sunlight slipping through the cracks of fallen walls. Not loud, not dazzling, yet enough to remind us that darkness has never been eternal. Faith does not erase the wounds, but helps us see them through eyes of hope, like a seed lying quietly beneath dry, barren soil, patiently waiting for rain to sprout into green life. In a broken world, what humanity needs is not only material rebuilding, but the rebirth of the soul. When we believe tomorrow can be better than today, we begin to act differently, speak more gently, and offer one another deeper compassion. And from those small changes, light is gradually kindled, one spark at a time, like candles passing flame through the long night. Not illusion, but a quiet source of energy that helps people rise again after collapse, giving us courage to forgive, strength to keep loving, and hope to rebuild what was lost. In that journey, we realize the world is not saved only by grand deeds, but also by hearts that dare to trust. And when enough people hold that light within their hearts, a once broken world will slowly find its own dawn. There are many things that can frighten us more than those that can defeat us. We often suffer more in imagination than in reality. Seneca, reality is sometimes only a small stone on the path. Yet, in an anxious imagination, it becomes a towering cliff. We tremble before we even stumble, condemn ourselves before we fail, painting dark visions created by our own minds. People often stir up storms in their heads before real dark clouds arrive. We fear judgmental eyes, fear rejection, fear things that have never happened, and so we lock ourselves inside an invisible cage of speculation until every negative thought becomes a chain tightening around our courage. Meanwhile, reality, no matter how harsh, still has its limits. A failure is only a moment. A criticism is only a passing sound. But fear, fed by imagination, can stretch on, repeat, and erode the spirit like water dripping on stone through the years. We begin to learn to separate what is happening from what we are imagining. We realize much suffering comes not from circumstances, but from the way we interpret them. When we dare to face reality with calm, we see it is far less frightening than we once believed. And when we step beyond the worries we ourselves created, we feel a new strength, the strength of awakening. Life cannot avoid challenges, but we can choose not to magnify them in our minds. By shrinking those imagined ghosts, we open space for hope and action. And then, amid the things that once terrified us, we smile and realize what truly defeats us is not the outside world, but the fear we have nurtured inside our hearts. When we learn to release it, we become freer and more steadfast than ever. But man is not made for defeat. Man can be destroyed, but not defeated. Ernest Hemingway. Man stands in the vast sea of life, small before harsh nature, yet holding within his heart a flame nothing can extinguish. To be destroyed is what the body may endure. To be defeated is the surrender of the spirit. And Hemingway drew a sharp line between the two, like the blade of fate. Man can lose, can fall, can be pushed by life to the farthest limit. But deep within the soul, there always exists a resilient quality, the one that makes us rise again after every moment we thought we could not continue. Like an ancient tree in the storm, branches and leaves may break, the trunk may be scarred, yet the roots still cling deep into the earth. Those roots are self-respect, will, and faith in our own worth. As long as we hold them, man has never truly been defeated. Failure only truly arrives when we accept surrender. But if the heart still burns with desire and the eyes still look forward, every wound is merely a challenge on the journey of growth. To be destroyed may end one chapter, but it cannot erase the dignity and resilience forged through hardship. It is in adversity that the noblest beauty of man is revealed, the beauty of being unbreakable. The value of man lies not in avoiding injury, but in the ability to keep the spirit firm through every injury. And when we understand that, we walk through life with calmer, braver steps, knowing that although the waves may toss us, they can never defeat the proud soul within. And occasionally, it is truly pleasant to meet people who live a gentle life, not taking this fleeting world too seriously and not so preoccupied with material things that they have no thoughts or time left to enjoy life. Freya Stark. In the rushing whirl of our time, where life races like ceaseless gears, we sometimes feel our souls thirsting in the desert of ambition and rivalry. And then, how lightening it is to meet people who live slowly like a clear stream, untouched by the noisy call of fame and fortune. They walk through life with gentle eyes, not taking the fleeting world too seriously, like fragile morning mist, nor letting material things bind them so tightly that they lose the ability to hear morning birds or feel the cool breeze at dusk. Those people do not live indifferently. They live awake. They understand that money and achievements are only means, never the final destination. While many chase numbers, they choose to nurture quiet values. A warm meal with family, a deep conversation, a silent moment to look within. Their simplicity is like a patch of clear blue sky in a stifling city, suddenly reminding us that happiness is not far away. It lies in how we are present with life. Beside them, we learn to release unnecessary worries lightly. We understand this world is impermanent, and gripping too tightly only tires our hands. When we are no longer consumed by material things, our minds gain space to think, to create, to love. Life then becomes richer, not because we have more, but because we feel more deeply. Occasionally meeting such souls feels like finding a resting place on a long journey. They do not teach with words, but with the way they live, calm, fulfilled, and free. And thanks to them, we are reminded that enjoying life is not escaping the world, but living in it with a serene heart, cherishing every moment we are given. The real question is not what kind of person we want to become, but what we want to desire. Yuval Noah Harari. We often busy ourselves sketching the portrait of the future, wanting success, wanting to stand out, wanting admiration. Yet, behind every title and image, the core lies in the very nature of what we crave, because desire is the seed, and what we become is only the tree that grows from that seed. If we desire power, we walk with competition and calculation. If we desire love, we learn gentleness and tolerance. If we desire peace, we carve out space to release what is unnecessary. Those silent desires shape our thoughts, choices, and actions each day, like underground water quietly forming the shape of an entire landscape. Often, we think we want to become successful, but what we truly seek is recognition. We imagine we want wealth, yet deep down, we crave security. When we clearly understand what we truly desire, we begin to live more authentically, no longer chasing borrowed images from the outside world. We stop asking, "Who should I resemble?" and instead ask, "What makes my heart shine?" When we bravely face our desires, both noble and selfish, we can then adjust and nurture them toward the good. Because, in the end, we do not only become what we do, we become what we desire most. And when those desires turn toward goodness, we gradually become more open, free, and whole. From conflicts with others, we create eloquent speech. From conflicts with ourselves, we create poetry. W.B. Yeats. We should never fear asking the important questions about life. When facing others, we are forced to explain, defend, and prove. Words then become weapons, shields, bridges to affirm our views. It is in that collision that thinking is sharpened like a sword, and arguments are built as tightly as bricks in a fortress. Eloquence is born from the need to persuade, from the longing to be heard and recognized in a world crowded with voices. But when conflict turns inward, when we argue with no one but ourselves, a different current begins to flow. It is no longer noisy dialogue, but a silent wrestling between reason and emotion, between what we want and what we should do. Wordless questions echo in the silence. Nameless wounds ache softly in the night, and from those very fractures, poetry is born. Poetry does not aim to defeat anyone or defend a stance. It is only a sigh lifted into language, a teardrop turned into sparkling light on the page. If eloquence is a blazing fire in the public square, poetry is a small candle burning in a dark room. One faces outward, the other turns inward. Yet both spring from conflict, because humans only truly think and feel deeply when there is collision. Without conflict, Words become bland. Without inner struggle, emotions grow flat. We no longer fear disagreements or moments of self-doubt, because they are the raw material for growth in thought and richness in the soul. From debate, we learn to speak more clearly. From inner struggle, we learn to feel more deeply. And between those two currents, humans become whole strong in the world, gentle within themselves. What we achieve inside will change the reality outside. People often rush to arrange circumstances, adjust others, reshape the environment around them, forgetting that outer reality is merely a mirror reflecting the inner state. When the mind is chaotic, the world seems full of thorns. When the heart is uneasy, every event feels like a threat. But once we begin conquering ourselves, learning to be more patient, more tolerant, more serene, the scenery around us gradually changes hue. Not because the world has altered its shape, but because our gaze has changed. Inner growth is like the sun rising from the horizon of consciousness. It does not banish every cloud, yet it brightens the entire sky. When we nurture gratitude, small things suddenly become precious. When we cultivate self-confidence, opportunities that once made us hesitate now open wide. Inner achievement is not titles or applause, but the ability to master emotions, know our own worth, and hold faith steady amid change. It is a silent process, like tree roots reaching deep into the soil. Others may not see that growth, yet those very roots decide whether the canopy can reach the sky. A steadfast soul creates steadfast actions. Steadfast actions build a different reality. Instead of waiting for circumstances to change, we can begin by cultivating ourselves. Every positive thought, every good habit, every time we surpass an old limit is a brick in the new foundation of life. And later, looking back, we realize reality has transformed not by external miracles, but by awakening and effort from within. It is in that deep place that every true revolution begins. No matter how difficult life becomes, there is always something you can do and succeed at. Stephen Hawking. Life sometimes raises walls before our eyes that seem impossible to cross. Failures piling up, harsh circumstances, doors closing one after another. We may feel as small as a grain of sand in the vast desert of challenges. Yet right in that seemingly hopeless moment, the words above remind us there is never a night so long that it lacks even one star. Difficulties may limit what we can do, but they cannot entirely rob us of the ability to act. When the main road is blocked, small paths still lead us onward. Success does not have to be a thunderous victory or brilliant glory. Sometimes it is simply not giving up today, finishing one small task, or standing up after a fall. Like a sprout breaking through rock, life finds a way to exist even in the harshest ground. Every person carries undiscovered potential within. We may not control every event, but we always have the power to choose our attitude, our response, our next step. It is that choice that opens the door to success. When we pour our heart and strength into what we can do, instead of sinking into what we cannot change, inner power begins to awaken. Amid countless trials, believe there is always something suited to your ability, an opportunity waiting to be grasped, a door yet to be knocked upon. Success may arrive slowly, may come in humble form, but it remains proof that you have not surrendered. And in that journey, the most precious thing is not only the result achieved, but the growth, resilience, and hope you have kept alive amid adversity.